Bits of History. My name is Lee Pulaski, President of the Resurrection Bay Historical Society. This bit of history is from several Seward Gateway issues concerning a series of 3 baseball games played in August 1916 between Anchorage and Seward. The August 7th, 1916 Seward Gateway reported that in preparation for the big games, team manager H.V. Hoban had issued a notice for all ball players to report in uniform at the grounds at 6:30 o'clock this evening and every evening this week, weather permitting. On August 10, the Gateway confirmed some bad news. The statement made in this paper the other day that Anchorage has a professional pitcher coming to wallop us has been confirmed. They say he is a wonder, but that might be to frighten our stickmen. The August 11 Seward Gateway gave the Seward team's lineup. The Seward team can now be guessed with possibly a few exceptions. Williams will catch and Lee will pitch. Reed will be on first and Campbell will take third. Taylor will take his place at shortstop. The others are Matt Ryan, George Adams, and then comes Tom Finnegan, Frank Nicholson, Al Taylor, Lucas Manthe, and the rest. At this time, the railroad connection between Anchorage and Seward was not completed. The Anchorage team had to take a boat to the end of the railroad at mile 69. The August 12th Gateway announced, "The Anchorage baseball team arrived on the train last night at 9 o'clock after a most trying experience on the journey. They left Anchorage at 6:30 in the evening before and were up all night. They had to walk from mile 69 to mile 63 and then took a handcar to mile 54. A motor car had been sent from Seward to pick them up there and bring them to Seward." The Gateway also reported that quite a bit of money is up on this series. Jack Roberts alone has $380 already up and went to the bank at noon today and drew $1,000 more with which he paraded down to the camp of the enemy. The first game was played on August 13th. The Seward Gateway was proud to report in its August 14th issue that Seward had won the game 4-2 in what the Gateway called the finest ball game ever seen in Seward and probably the finest ever seen in all the length and breadth of Alaska. Brilliant bits of play marked the game all the way through. The hometown has every reason to be tickled, and the visitors have no reason not to be perfectly satisfied at their fine showing. The August 15th issue of the Gateway lamented that Anchorage won yesterday in the second game and evened the chances in its interurban game. The score was 5-2, and some of the 5 at least were scored on Seward's poor judgment. But the score was 5-2 nevertheless, and that's the sore spot no matter how you try to get around it. The Gateway issue of the 16th carried the good news that Seward had won the third game by a score of 3-2 and won the series. In describing the game, the paper said, "To the second half of the 7th, the visitors had 2 runs to nothing for Seward. And matters looked so good for the Inlet people that the reporter for their home paper said, 'We have the game in our pockets.' But Seward's fortunes changed in the 7th inning when Frank Taylor scored, and in the second half of the 8th came the beautiful base-stealing work of Tom Finnegan and Joe Campbell to let them both in for the winning runs. It was a fine bit of hard work on the part of the local captain and the second baseman. It won the game, but they were well assisted by a sacrifice bunt of George Adams that was perfectly placed. The Anchorage boys took their Waterloo in good shape and were game to the end." Thanks for listening to this bit of history. To learn more about Seward's fascinating history, visit the Seward Museum. It is currently open from 1 to 5 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. Admission is free for a few more weeks.